At this time, we want to get other views, especially from a die-hearted member of the Cameroon Renaissance movement that we've been talking much about. At this time, Mr. Njomosiri, you're highly welcome to Crossviews.
Thanks. One of the finest moderators we have in the city of legendary hospitality. Permit me to give my hand to Dr. Busi, who did ritual to, acknowledge my presence, but equally to our engineer on the platform, one of the uprising engineer Daboya is yet to test. Personally, I've had a test of his work, and I can attest here that he's a true professional. Pope Bertrand is with us. Also, I would like to greet the management of the house and all the elected viewers. You are now counting yourself in hundreds and thousands. I want to thank you for your time. I will start by...
Let me also welcome, at this time, I want to welcome Pope Bertrand. You're highly welcome to the platform.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Kudos to the panelists who have been ahead of us to contribute to nation building. Thanks to the effort of Dr. Busu, who has always been here, Solomon, and of course, Kufo. And thanks to the house hush, giving us the opportunity to share that platform for the Cameroonians.
Okay, Mr. Njomosiri, before coming to the platform, you did follow the other panelists expressing their mind. We were looking at the reaction of the various parties, especially the mobilizer, Professor Maurice Kamto, who is mobilizing for, according to you people, for a demonstration that is not violent. How come all this always and always?
Truly, permit me comment on the wonderful feeling one has watching the program behind the camera. Personally, I have not had that privilege to sit back home and watch viewers and watch panelists on the small screen, but sitting behind the camera and watching them, I was so excited with my pen and paper, and I was able to pick a lot of positive sides, which already, while applauding to them, I also want to comment on some of the lapses that were found. First, permit me salute the magistral move of the judicial system in Cameroon. Kevin, the baccalaureate candidate who was arrested following some fraud incident has been released. I'm happy to know that the government has succeeded in their coup to distract Cameroon. I told you, Mwambo, and you cannot refuse that from me, that this was just an orchestrated move from the Jacobin government to dissipate the call that Professor Maurice Kamto, the Messiah, is making. Besides that, the French Republic has just this evening called on all its citizens in Cameroon to make sure that they connect with the embassy, because in case of urgency, they should be fly out of this country. And when we talk of French citizens in this country, it's not only white people. You want to know that so many Cameroonians, including most of our top footballers, are actually of French nationality, and so they also will likely be flying if anything have to happen. As I earlier said, before now, people took upon themselves to say the CRM has coined a date for revolution. I hold them responsible, and I think they have made this allegation before the camera, and it's now worldwide. And so if a lawsuit is after them, they will have to respond for it, because when they were talking, I had to go to the website of the party to check whether truly the party have cited any dates for any revolution, and it's nowhere. Social media allegation cannot be taken to back up a serious political party like the Cameroon Renaissance movement, and I just hold them responsible for their utterances. Secondly, a case of Bamileke chief was cited in this platform. I want to denounce that again. It was a Bulu chief being appointed by a Bulu administration. It had nothing to do with the Bamileke clan. I'm so sorry. It was
just a slight of the tongue, maybe. The panelists.
I started by appreciating the fact that they said a lot of things that were good, and I wanted just to set on the few. Okay. And there are not many. There are just two, and I really want to end there. Thank you so much for constituting such a rich platform. Now, you are talking about the call that Professor Maurice Kamto did. Solomon said it clearly that, and Doctor also reiterated, that protest is a constitutional right.
Yeah.
Declaring that you are not happy about something is a right. And it is enshrined in the preamble in most of the international treaties we have signed, including that of the Universal
Declaration of Human Rights.
Yes. Which is the supreme of all the laws that and oversees our national laws. So just going by that is that the fathers of democracy understood well fully that people at a point in time might not be satisfied with the government that are ruling over them. And so they should have an environment where they can express that. And going by the CIM slogan, peaceful change, there is no way on earth you can ever think of violence coming from our end.
Okay, in few seconds, the serious threat that has come from territorial administration boss to Professor Maurice Kamto and the people he's mobilizing. What's your take about that?
It's not the first time. Professor Maurice Kamto personally and some over 200 militants of the Cameroonian movement have already suffered unjustly from the utterances of the current Minister of Territorial Administration, Mr. Atanga Nji, whose media outing is always characterized with some of those overstatement, hate speech, and many more. And we think that history is going to take care of that. We are fighting for something that is already enshrined in the Golden Book of History, and it's just a process that is on the way. So, his own children are just going to answer him when you are fighting a just,
the children are out of all
when you are fighting a just cause. No, what I mean is, the conscience is the ultimate court for every human being. And so when you spend your time fighting somebody who wants the good for all, and you are fighting for your stomach, your conscience, if not you, your children, because when videos of those
innocent children,
of course, that's what we are talking. When videos of those excerpts are going to be brought to the limelight, some 5 years to come, or some 3 years, or some 10, it might even take 20 years. Okay, you yourself will see that your statement at that point does not match the realities that people are living. It's not faking. Because I'm talking, permit me, thanks to your platform, I've been invited by the government to give a talk, and definitely this is some of the things I'll be telling them. I don't know why they had to come and choose a political actor of the opposition to one of the most prestigious platform that some of the delegation are organizing here. Because they think that I personally, I stand by the truth. I always speak the truth. It might be funny, but it's true. I have a letter here inviting me for a very serious meeting. So it's just to say that what Kamto is doing today, bona fide Cameroonians know the struggle he's fighting is legitimate. And it is for them.
Some people call him...
And even if by fear, it's not for nothing that if you follow the state media now, they are doing everything to reach out to those bleached politicians of the opposition. And you have named some of them here. I will not give them that advert. I'm learning. 2 seconds. I've never taken more than your time, and I promised I won't override on your time. Just to say that the government is doing everything to reach those politicians, like to give to the international opinion that truly the election is going to be consensual. They are doing everything. Secondly, it is on all news. If you read the newspaper, you read the media, you read the social media, it is everywhere. They are doing everything to give the impression that it is something that was awaited and that it is welcome and that everything is put together to make sure. I've heard people say on this platform, allegedly, I told you 2 seconds and I'm at 1:45. So to say that political party of a different other formation cannot vie in for this election, that's not what the law says. The law at Article 51 actually stipulates that anybody okay, can constitute a candidate for the regional election. But it happened that it is the councillors of the CPDM that are supposed to elect them.
It must be in a political party. Okay,
this
we
is
shall come to those generalities.
In their opinion that it is only political parties that have council that can go in as candidates. It was important that we
look at those generalities.
We clarified that. We said that the fact that most of these opposition parties do not have councillors, it will be difficult for the CPDM party to vote personalities of other political parties to represent them in the regions.
I will take you back in 2018.
Yeah, let me come back.
I'll come back to in the Northwest. For senatorial election.
It's difficult.
I mean, for senatorial election, no, it's important. Let us bring facts together, okay? The Northwest, the municipal council of SDF in the Northwest were under the number for the CPDM. Okay, everybody thought that the CPDM would win there, but surprisingly, the SDF won the senatorial election in the Northwest, and today all the SDF representatives, the 7 senators that came from the Northwest, are of this.
You are just saying.
And in 2013, the same thing happened where in Adamawa and in the Western region, the CPDM councillor had to vote by order of their president, had to vote for the SDF. So when we are talking to Cameroonians, I think we should be able to bring facts, history together.
You are just confirming. Okay, let me come. You are just confirming the fact that there's democracy that is upcoming strongly in Cameroon.
These two scenarios I have pictured, I have portrayed, it was just to water down that argument, that very weak argument. Because in the story of the debate is not the level of councillors. The debate is not the level of the credibility. We are talking about the credibility of the election.
What about the credibility of the individuals?
Okay, let me come to Paul Bertrand. We are looking at the regional elections. We are looking at the regional elections. If you look at the beehive threat of Minister Atanga Nji, you know, the wrath that Kamto is promising, the backing of, you know, the SDF Nji John Frundi, and maybe the ranting of Madame Kawala, and adding Prince Ekoso, who has come this time with the toteistic behavior. We don't understand where he belongs. What's your take about all this response?
Mr. Mambo Williams, when the panel is boiling, you need some cold water.
Yeah.
Honestly. But I would like to say here that Minister Atanga Nji is not ranting.
Okay.
He is simply sanctioning his duty as the Minister of Territorial Administration. You know,
we talk of his traits.
I don't see it as threat. Why is it that when somebody is doing his duty in the right manner, you call it threat?
You talk of a beehive. You know, a beehive is
Mr. Mambo, I heard what you said.
Yeah.
Opposition will always opposite the ruling party.
Okay.
Let us not contradict ourselves. You see, one of the things I respect Professor Maurice Kamto is that he is part of law, the constitutional making board of this country. Yeah. He make the laws, and today the laws are haunting him. And now he is putting it on Cameroonians. He's risking Cameroonians. The law says you give in, you send a request for a protest, and it has to be validated. This thing happened in 2016, 2017 when the SDF shipped themselves down here, and the SDF refused them.
Bertrand, you have been in this country, a regime
Mr.
whereby...
Mambo,
a regime whereby if you want to go in for a demonstration, it's hardly approved.
Mr. Mambo, you should not remind me of the question.
Yeah.
We should follow the constitution as it is. It is the constitution that governs us, the people. Why do we go out of the constitution, out of excuses and favoritism? The minister is following the constitution that was written, laid down by these professors. That is why we vote them into these houses of the senior and the lower houses for these reasons. And when they go in and make a constitution, we come back and start criticizing them. Let us not forget. I want to say that all of these ministers, I'm not kicking turning my focus light on Maurice Kamto, I want to also say that even the CPDM, all of them, they are just going out now because the ground is no longer favorable for them. There is one agenda, and the president said it in France before Ibrahim, that all of the agenda is to assimilate the Anglophone man. And I have said that I don't have a stand unless that I'm a born and bred Anglophone, and I believe in the Anglophone freedom. I know not the struggle, the freedom. Don't get me wrong. Okay. In the Anglophone freedom. Because when we start accepting that, there is a problem. There is no need of all this election. The presidential election has failed. It failed because we had a lot of contradiction, appeal that the election should be rerun in front of the constitutional bench at the Constitutional Council. They stubbornly approved the election, and we went back to February 2020. We saw that it did not heal any food because the election did not go on effectively in some divisions like Momo, Bui, Lebiale, Mezam, and Ngokutunja. So why are we coming now again for another election? That is to tell you that...
Don't you think that the CPDM government is just respecting the constitution you are talking of?
Yes, they are respecting the constitution, but behind the constitution they have an aim, an agenda, and most of the people that go out of the CPDM party are people who have been part of this plan, okay. But for one or two reasons they are coming out. I'm not done with you. Okay. Let me go now to SDF.
Yeah, 30 seconds, please.
No, yes. It will be too much for me. The question I'm also lengthy. Okay. SDF. Okay, Mr. Moderator, I'm sorry for that. Mr. Moderator, the SDF is still regretting the boycott of 1992. Yes. I'll just end there. I don't want to go. You gave me some time limit. Madam Kawalai, I respect her for her political ideology. Yeah. That was why when she saw that it was not going, she stepped out of the SDF. She is
CPP.
A CPP. She's a Republican. Yeah. And people hate her for that. And she has always stood for that. For those who said they had vision and they went in for presidential, they went out for they stepped out for municipal, and they are calling for the General Cameroon to come in. I am saying that be careful. I want to also remind some of our brothers which I've seen of recent on Facebook who they have fist up on a prayer. They should not be deceived by internet warriors. This is the same scenario that dupe, deceive, confuse, and frustrate the Anglophones, and we are suffering today. I want to tell my brother across the Mongo that be wise.
Okay, let me come now. Let us start looking some generalities. First of all, let me come Cabral Libi, who has made a lot of, he has been known now in the political terrain in Cameroon. He's going in, he just announced, as you said, he announced his acceptance to go in for the election. Do you see him becoming successful as in the presidential? Because he succeeded, becoming the third.
Pundits will tell you that Cabral Libi is part of the ruling party, looking at his history and his background. Other pundits will say that he's an opposition leader. But Mr. Moderator is a young man. Yeah. But with his own ideology, I feel that Cabral Libi cannot do it alone. Looking at the strength of the CPDM, let's be honest. The CPDM has all the resources. And Cabral Libi is a member of parliament. And when you look at somebody who ran in for the presidential elections and still go in for parliamentary election, Mr. Moderator, I don't see a lot of consistency. Because when you look at the presidency, it's the executive. You look at where he is now, he's in the lawmaking house. I ask myself, where does he, because I feel that he would have looked for somebody to stand up for these parliamentary elections. Why he remains the presidential candidate. But many at times politicians have self-interest.
No, but he's announcing his party to go in, not him.
He's announcing his party to go in.
Normally there will be candidates.
But I still feel that when you look at the strength of the CRM, if the CRM is not going in as the for now, I feel that though they don't have councillors, they are strong in terms of ideology and international recognition. And that is why you see the MRC feels that they can go out there and vote, because they feel that they are internationally, even Professor Maurice Kamto, even when he was, after he left prison, he had to meet great leaders out of the country because of his professorial rank and also his personality. He feels that he has some backup out of the country, he can pull people and so. But I think that we are living in a country of law, and we must respect our laws. Though in this country, we have seen that laws are being twisted. But I want to say that Cabral Libi cannot do it alone. But I felt that if Cabral Libi could also hear the voices of the other opposition parties and let our government look at this and say, no, the CPDM cannot run such an election alone. All the main opposition parties are not vying in for regional elections. What is the problem? There's a question tag somewhere. The government could rethink and even think that the government could change the strategies. But now that Cabral Libi is going in for the elections, it's been normal that government will say, this is an opposition party. And this party took part during the presidential
Let's start
election,
looking at these generalities this way.
Yes.
Before, just 30 seconds before I come to you.
Yes.
Now, there was so many talk of federalism, very expensive for the country to run.
Yes.
Do you see the necessity of a regional house, a senate, house of chiefs, when so much money goes in for this, but federalism is rejected?
Mr. Moderator,
because it's a kind of
when you look at the regionalization, it is a kind of federation to an extent, but it's not a loose federation. Because you are giving power and you are still taking.
Can it be described as restricted federation?
Regionalization is a kind of semi. It is not a loose federation because we have different types of federation. And when you talk of decentralization, in France practice effective decentralization where regions take care of their resources and power. In France, that's what happened. And they don't have any problem. Our problem is that we put good laws, but we do not respect the laws. If in 1994, 1996, if the decentralization laws were to be respected, where regions elected their presidents, regional president by then, we have all this House of Chiefs, we will not have been finding ourselves into the Anglophone problem. But when you look at the way it is now, Mr. Moderator, the people still feel that with regionalization and decentralization, power will be given, but power will not be given totally. In the sense that the central government still have a lot to play, because the central government appoints supervisory bodies, and these supervisory bodies, at the end of the day, the regional presidents still send their documents back to the supervisory body, who is even appointed for the supervisory body to send in Yaoundé, which is not a kind of loose, it is not effective decentralization. We want effective decentralization, but I will say that when you look at the 1996 Constitution, giving power and taking, it is not effective decentralization. I still feel that at this juncture, this kind of regionalization will not really solve.
You are talking of effective decentralization.
It will not even solve the Anglophone problem, because let's look at it in this dimension. Let's look at it in this dimension.
I'll come to that.
If we had only regional president without supervisory bodies, it would have been effective decentralization. Power would have been given to the people to elect their own leaders in their regions.
That's what I want to come to, Mr. Njomosiri. Don't you think there will be a kind of conflicting administration, and people will want to start seizing power when we will start having regional president or head, divisional representative, then the head of the House of Chiefs, and so on? What's your take about what the administration is going to be?
Confusion as to say there might be some misunderstanding.
Yes.
And already perceived in the 37 years ruling regime that is waging out, but do not want to admit that the Northwest and Southwest will be the final boss that will chase them out of the system. You gave the floor to a gentleman on the platform some time ago, and I had to rack my brain to understand what actually came out of his intervention. At a point, he started attacking Kamto for constitutionality, and I want to remind him that the constitution of our land dates as of December 1st, 1991, and I still want to say that these are some of the lapses that we come and expose ourselves on the platform. I don't think Kamto was part of the body in 1996. So saying that Kamto is part of those who constituted the laws of our country might be totally void of content. But if it was the case of the penal codes, yeah, maybe we could start listening and understanding from which background he's talking. Beside that, saying that those who are calling are saying that they are ready on social media are luring Cameroonian. I think Cameroonians have their camera, have their eye to watch such betrayals on our platform to say that at a time when they don't have water to drink, even in a city that have all its corridors, water flow in Dongo is behind our houses, but we don't have water in our rooms. Electricity is not strong to permit us to do industrial works.
I think we'll be concluding with that.
Debts are still on our streets. These are issues of local government. Because we are talking of a local government that two electoral body has been called. First, the traditional rulers, and secondly,
we have just about 7 minutes.
The divisional delegates. So let's talk about these two electoral bodies that have been called. First, the traditional rulers. Most are satellites. Most are in different community, in host community, and they are planning. I follow the 5 p.m. news on the national station before coming, when a certain Chief Ebako from the southwest was used to water his brother back home. He, for example,
conflict has started among them, given that the third-class chiefs are angry second-class chiefs. There's conflict between the third-class, second-class, first-class chiefs.
It's not for nothing that I answer a question by saying it is engineered by the organizing team, because they are the one giving them the mic to speak. And each time they raise a voice, it's solely to contradict, and it's happening like that everywhere. No, it's a system that understands that it's only when people are divided that they can smuggle and keep in the imperial system. But we as young generation, when we start on serious platform like this one, platform that have the prestige to host university done and other people that are really considered in the society. I told you of a seminar that is coming that I will consider part of the panelists, and it will be a regional seminar, and it will extend to the international.
So when we start
sitting and people are using social media jargons to be qualifying us here, I think it does not august our presence on the platform. But permit me land by the question you are asking, to say that the upcoming regional election and the divides we are observing amongst the traditional rulers has two connotations. First, some are decrying their auxiliary position to the administration, and they are happy that they are going to move from simple auxiliary to elected officials. That means they become stakeholder of the democratic process. And the question I'm asking myself is that it's a positive move. But personally, I think it's a positive move. But we have chiefs in this country, we have senators in this country that are traditional rulers.
Yes.
So it is the déjà vu. Some of the traditional rulers have been exercising the democratic leadership already. And Dr. Riley told you that the supervisory body that is coming at the regional level will just be another governor. And so practically, the life-changing experience that the people, because the traditional rulers that have been given the mic, they keep emphasizing on one word, that they want to change the life of their subject. But come to think that those who have been there already with the sovereign right have not been able to do anything. Mr. Mongo, between you and I, we should be able to save time and say the truth.
The president has been encouraging the bringing in of youths in every election in the various groups, but this time we've not heard of the encouraging that groups, maybe youths and women, maybe should make a certain percentage in the various lists.
Well, Mr. Mambo Williams, the president, head of state of Cameroon, is one of a kind of a gentleman, a father to many. He's always right. He's always on track. Like we know,
that's serious. Always right.
Yes.
How can you say that?
It's my humble opinion.
Okay.
It's my humble opinion. When I say it's always right, does not mean that
then he should be a candidate of heaven.
There's no rules. No. I have the floor. I have the floor. I have the floor. Mr. Mambo.
Yes.
Mr. Mambo, I have the floor.
Yes. Go on.
That should tell you that there's no rules.
Yeah.
Without
no one is perfect.
Okay.
You cannot say
understand?
it's always right.
At least he's a black sheep with very few dotted spots.
Yes.
So what I want to say, why do I tell him this with such lofty word? Because he always goes ahead, and then you find political parties coming to criticize.
Okay.
It was the negligence that allowed. I'm not saying that I've cited a personality, Mr. Pobia. I've not cited the CPDM. The CPDM has its games that it plays. And because some of these people who are breaking out now and making parties were part of this game plan, I've always said I'm not changing my stand.
Okay, but his encouragement for youth to always be in the list and women this
that's
time.
That's why I say that. Obviously, we have young parliamentarians who are going to be part of the delegation voting session. But for chiefs,
we mean for regional house and maybe the House of Chiefs. No, he usually talk of encouraging youth and women to be part of every list in every election, but this time we've not heard of it. We don't know.
Well, when they give an advice is given, will not be given always. They give you an advice and you act on it.
Okay, let's look at incompatibility.
Let me add. I think that was. Let me add something.
Yes.
Mr. Moderator, what I fear with the chiefs is that first of all, our chiefs were not supposed to be political.
Okay.
They were supposed to be very, very apolitical as traditional authorities. And the problems I have with the chief is that they are highly divided. And when you look at NOWEFO, the Northwest Chief Conference or Association, you discover that even in NOWEFO, when they want to elect the chiefs, they form that will always their president and their secretary. It's always chaos among them. They always have division. Even here in the southwest region, in the division, when they want to elect president, you see division among them. I think that the advice I would give is that I've seen a lot of chiefs and lamidos. Let's not forget lamidos. Okay. From the northern part, we are focusing only on chiefs and fun. Lamidos too from the northern part of Cameroon. When you look at our House of Senate, most of them are there. And what I fear, what I'm afraid is that they will still continue in same political limelight. The mindset, the psychodesonance, the mindset they have.
Okay, Dr. Busi.
It will not even change in the House.
I want you to respond to this because we are rounding up this program. I want us to look at those who will be eligible for election and to be elected, because it is said they have to be resident in their area effectively for at least 6 months, and they must be citizens. Now, if you look at it, most of our chiefs are not in their areas, and so many of our politicians and so on are not in their areas. Okay, it should be age 23 and above. And we see the wrangling that the youths are angry because they are being sidelined. Then we also read you should be able to speak and able to write well in English or French, which we have English or French, but we have some of these people who are not literate. We are seeing some kind of conflict. That's why most of the first class chiefs are literate. Most of the third class chiefs are not literate. That's why there are some conflicts. Then they say no accumulation of functions. That is very clear. Then illegibility and incompatibility. Now, looking at all this, do you see an effective regional house to come up? Because most of these people are not in their areas.
That is why we need time to solve the Anglophone problem before elections. Okay. That is why we need time, because when you look at what you were saying in terms of resident,
yes.
To be candid, if you go to the northwest and southwest, you will not see up to 10 chiefs or forms in their villages. That means they will not be respecting the laws. Yeah. You still go to the northwest and southwest, there were threats with some of these councillors that went in for the twin election, and most of them have left their villages. Most councillors who took part during that election, they are not in the suburbs. Yeah. So meaning that they will not still respect that same law. And one thing I don't like with us is that we don't respect the rule of law. We put the law, but we do not respect the law. At the end of the day, the kind of governance system that will create will still be a continuity that will not create the kind of change we want. So at the end of the day, Mr. Mwambo Williams, I think what I feel is that we need to be genuine in Cameroon. We need to be honest. And the fact is that we need to sit as a people, all civil society actors, all politicians, all top businessmen. I think that there will be a time in this country that we need to really sit and reckon on what we have done for the past 60 years. And if we look, and we are still looking for the next 60 years, that means we want the next generation to suffer.
Okay.
And I feel that we must, if we want change in Cameroon today, like what is happening in West Africa, the West Africans are fighting towards constitutional change, whereby you rule only for one mandate, the second mandate it ends at that level. So we need to put laws that will respect them. When we put such laws,
Mr. Njomosire, we are concluding, looking at these modalities that have been given, and these people have just about 12 days left, because after President Paul Biya had to call the electorate, they have 15 days to submit their files. It's
the same law. The article you just cited is Article 51. Okay. But when you go to Sub B, it talks about all should be having a building, a house in that locality, and most of them are definitely going to fall back there. Before that, you asked a question about the demography of the electoral body in Cameroon as far as the CPDM management is concerned. I've overfollowed them on the state media. They were talking about, take for example, for councillors, women, mayors, women have moved from 31 to about 58. Yeah. Senators have moved from 8 to about 18. Yeah. Parliamentarians have moved from 31 to about 38. And to them, that is a progress in democracy. But they went further then in our party, we define but a quota, because we believe that if we just go by try and error, women, children will always be lacking behind. If I was not a young person, I will support the fact that, because when I heard a young man here on the platform start saying that he support Biya in total, I started asking myself, if you put this kind of youth in leadership, would it not be a chaos? But I started asking myself, but I'm a different young people, and I want to call on viewers to be able to select the kind of young people they want to. When you see young people start selling those kind of cheap corn, you should understand their mindset and where they are heading to. But it's also my position to cross the view. Okay. So just to move forward, I want to land by saying that purposefully for this election, a quota was supposed to be allocated for young people and women because they don't have the same potential. Personally, when I was vying in to be a municipal councillor, I needed to raise some funds to have just my caution. Yeah. I needed to prove resident permits to show that I have a house or I have a tenant agreement. All those documents. Sometimes young people of age 23 don't have that money. Okay, so but if there's a quota and a system to support them, well, personally, the person who is heading the list most of the time actually is a well-to-do person, and most of the time can sponsor the list of his candidates. We have seen that is always how it happened. Yeah. We even had Jean de Demomo who came up last time that he paid for about 5 constituencies. So those things that happen to encourage the young people and women, because by virtue, young people at 23, most are in school or have just ended with college and are still hustling for what to do. It could be the case with some of us here that are just post-adults. And women that do not have land tenure rights. So for most of them, they are widow and so many. So you understand from we are coming from a patriarchal system where young people and women are relegated at the background, and we must always put a quota to safeguard their own participation in democracy.
This question, you were not there last time. This question of the number of that the various divisions have for the regional FACO. Let's take our region, Southwest. Some people are talking of FACO alone having 21 out of the 90 that is supposed to be in the Southwest, while some others have 9, some others have just 2, 3, 6.
Yeah, Libya and Lem, for example, a case that master has 9. Good. That is 6 for the divisional delegates and 3 for traditional rulers.
Yeah, what's about this division of?
We are not so comfortable, but because I love my people, our party, they gave us an instruction. We are not comfortable to talk about it. No, frankly speaking. No, but because of the love I have for the people. No, I'm coming to answer. I don't know why doctor wants to seize my floor. Because of the love I have for the people, I want to say that when you look at the development, the urbanization rate, for example, Boya is a citadel city. I'm borrowing this from doctor. It's a city that hosts intellectual and a high influx of people. With the Anglophone Crisis, people have migrated from all these other divisions to Boya. So it could, to an extent, explain why Boya alone is covering 26. That is for divisional delegate without talking about traditional. So when you put traditional, it might even sum up to about 30. Okay, out of the 90 position that is for the region. So practically, the 5 other regions are going to share the rest of the cake. But this alone also, in urbanization, we say that city grow to conquer themselves in the future. So if a larger share is given to Boya today, other divisions are eyeing and seeing that, inequality that is in the redistribution of a division in Indian, for example. We'll be looking that, no, we have crude oil, we are hosting palm oil. So
we are
underdeveloped. So from our resources, that is where you start seeing people raising eyebrows, and before you know, it starts going to crisis and conflict. So your question is very welcome to say that at the same time where we are putting FACO at the advantage of other divisions, a hand of extension, and this is the call for to Soweto, that their action needs to be fair there so that they can also profit from the democratization process.
The idea of non-indigens being welcome to be part of the regional house, some people say it's a very nice idea.
It's correct. We're talking of local development. How you and me, coming from another region, to come and partake and pilot the affairs of another region when they are talking of...
They have accepted it, that non-indigens can be part. That is, if you come from another region, you must still survive.
But that's the meaning of citizenship.
That one is different. It's citizenship, but what we are saying here is that, Mr. Moderator, we feel that we are talking of regionalization.
Okay.
And we still feel that the indigens of that, it is not because you are coming from the West region that cannot work in the
So you have the right now to be part of the list.
If it was like a kind of federation, it doesn't mean that because you come from the West region, you cannot work in the Central region. You are bona fide Cameroonian. But the thing is that the number of seats, those from those regions, they should be able to benefit the delegation, so that they will be able to pilot their affairs. Let's say, for example, we are talking of FACO, especially Boya being a cosmopolitan area. And if this division has 26, the other divisions have about 10 seats. First of all, the inequality, is a problem. Because we are saying giving power to the people. Why do you take seats of these persons and they give more to these persons? Are you saying that these persons are more Cameroonians than these other persons? That's the other way of analyzing. But the other positive perspective is also that, like he said, urbanization.
Like Jomo said, I have a name.
Like the senior political analyst and politician of the CRM party, Mr. Jomo said, urbanization leads to a lot of migration and population comes in. Okay. And they feel that the population in this cosmopolitan area, they need more because people of different intellectual and entrepreneurial background find themselves there. But you go to other divisions, you will not see such kind of personalities there.
Okay,
at the end of the day, Mr. Moderator, I want to end by saying that when you look at the context of our regionalization, it will not really give power to the people. They are giving and still holding.
Okay, gentlemen, we shall be concluding with this, looking at the regional house, how it's going to help us. Because if you look at it, today, I want us to talk about some of the amenities that we are supposed to enjoy in our municipality. When some of the people came to check on electricity bills, and I had to talk with them on low voltage and some areas not having lights. Now, the response was the community has to write to the office before they see what to do, but they are aware that all this is happening. Secondly, I asked them, they sit in the office and imagine, bills and just send to people through texts. What's your take about that? Because Boya is really suffering about it.
Yeah, Mr. Nambo Williams, I'll hit the point before I diverse. Okay. It is mismanagement. From what do I say? Mismanagement, miscalculation of the increase in population in cities. Or I come back to say, maintenance is not done. I think mismanagement is not good, but maintenance. Yeah. Because when you have a population of 10 and you are using a certain voltage, by the time the population, in 2 years' time, maybe between that 10 personalities, maybe the bed rate may have increased. I want to talk about a city where there's migration, all these things. So the population of this town keep increasing, but our stakeholders, our institution, they don't manage the situation very well. You see, for example, maybe between 2016 to 2009, due to the Anglophone Crisis, there's a lot of immigration. Coming
so,
but now we have not seen our the Sonel and the company in place, Enio. Thank you, Enio in place, planting other plants. I know I'm talking to landed member too. Our viewers, plant simply means plant simply means equipment, electrical equipment, sophisticated plants to boost the electricity. And these are some of the areas where you it also go very annoying, even though I wouldn't say annoying to an extent, because we are all supposed to master the both languages. That is very important. You see some of them intimidating you with the other language which we are supposed to master. But what to say is that they know it is their responsibility to bring your bill. That is why they have a meter. They come and read. You don't obstruct them from reading a meter. So when they read, they need to come and deliver, and you take the opportunity to pay.
Okay. Dr. Busi, the regional house has to be doing some checks and balances. Now we are looking at what we are suffering now, electricity problem in most areas of Boya and other towns. How do you think this regional house is coming to help us? Because in so many neighborhoods we don't have lights, a low voltage, and maybe the offices are just seated there for months now. There are some areas.
There was a very interesting program in this house that we talk of privatization.
Okay.
And Mr. Moderator, you might still look at it to understand that when you look at our own kind of regionalization, power will not be fully given. Okay. What are monopoly? A new is a kind of company that has monopolized the market, and they think that they can behave the way they want to behave.
After I felt monopoly.
And you must know that there are some certain companies that the government will not give power to the regional houses to take care of in this country, because most of the taxes will go back to the central government, because those resources are not found in that environment. Okay. Because these regions also must look for different ways to source. If we're living in a kind of federation or confederation, let me put it like this, if we had a confederation where we had interdependent states within the main country, it would have happened that, look at Menchum. Menchum has been wasting for decades. Let me say, yes, if we had a confederation in this country whereby we feel that the Southwest and the Northwest is a state on their own,
they develop their area.
They would have developed Menchum. And then now they would have controlled the resources there in Menchum to generate hydroelectric power and even still give it out to these ECOWAS countries, and they give us more money. And then make sure that the locals, they minimize the bills to them. Because what a new does is that, Mr. Moderator, a new, I will say it while looking at the camera, a new gives bills by looking at the building. You hardly see them even coming. You hardly see a new worker.
One of them get a complaint that Anglophone Crisis, they cannot go to some areas. They cannot go to some areas.
Even in the urban areas, Mr. Moderator, I will not lie you. You hardly see a new coming to give you the papers.
Okay.
Especially those who have their email addresses with them, whom they send bills through electronic methods. You hardly see a new. They just sit in their offices and estimate. You hardly see their workers coming.
Maybe they see something like
I'm talking because I face these consequences in my own municipality where I live. They are so exploitative, monopoly of power. And we think that with regionalization, all the priorities, the kind of regional elections we are organizing, know that the central government still hold a lot of there's no total autonomy given to the regions. There are certain resources that the central government will still put eye. And now ANU is the only company that supplies us with electricity. That is the bad thing with it. But if our system of governance was to change like a confederation, we would have been managing our resources to regenerate electricity in different ways.
Okay, Mulanjo Mosiri.
Thank you so much. I want to move a motion that those who are following us, if you don't know how to support the program, at least nominate our moderator for any award-winning competition that is upcoming. Because this gentleman, most of the time, it's today when I sat behind the camera that I saw the wonderful job that he does. Because the panel is very rich. People talk a lot of sense, do a lot of research. And I would want to seize this opportunity to say there's always a way you can help. This moderator is still lacking in terms of awards. You can nominate him, let him win. There are so many awards out there, or you can even organize one and make the program part of it. It was important for me to bring this call, Mr. Moderator, because truly sitting behind today gave me another perspective of what we do here. And I wanted to tell you thank you for your humility too.
Okay, If you are done, gentlemen, we are out of time. Mr. Pope Bertrand, we are concluding. What do you have to say on all what we have discussed?
Mr. Moderator, let us all come together as CMTV is giving us the platform of togetherness. Let's build a better Cameroon. Let us take action when it's time to take action. And let us not shun the future of others when the periphery does not favor us anymore. I'm saying so because today I've been attacked on this panel on several occasions when I'm trying to pinpoint where a particular party went wrong. And today they are not having senators, councillors, and stuff like that to partake or fully enroll in the election. And when I'm picking, when the person hits his leg, which is the problem, my co-panelists are only talking of the falling point. I'm talking of the fourth point, not the falling point. Because it is it is the fourth point that has led us to where we are, not the falling point. Because a particular party, which all Cameroonians love and hail to at that particular moment, that should go in for the twin election, failed to go. And now, when we're going for regional election, where they cannot make an impact, they are telling us to still follow them. I will not follow. I will not make the same mistake twice.
Thank you for coming,
Mr. Moderator.
Thank you for coming. What's your wish to maybe the political actors on the field who will be going in for the regional elections and to be elected?
Well, I want to borrow from the first PhD doctor, Professor Bernard Fallon, who says the time is now. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Dr. Busi.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. There was some academic dishonesty, and the same Bernard Fallon, Professor, talk of genuine intellectuals. And my learned friend here said that President Paul Biya, the way he presses President Paul Biya, I wanted to ask Mr. Pope, are you a genuine intellectual who want to change his country?
It's not bad to be a president.
But I think that President Paul Biya always said he brought for the policy of rigor and moralization. That is all about moral rectitude, and all Cameroonians must respect that. And before I give my conclusion, I like what Mr. Jomosili did to our honorable moderator, because he's very literally very powerful. His language is powerful, his diction and his questions are very powerful for nation building. Saying that we should support our moderator is very good, because supporting starts at the individual level. Nation building starts at the individual level, because everybody is involved in nation building. You, the individual, the old, the aged, the young, and everyone, the government and non-governmental organization. That's why I want to applaud the great work of CMTV management, especially the sole proprietor of CMTV management, Chilling TV, our boss here, because when I look at his innovation, especially in his house, this is one of the best TV house in terms of equipment, which I applaud. And I also applaud him that he's digital. Our programs are not, it takes his time and his resources and money to send our programs on YouTube on daily basis. And this is nation building. Everyone, this is part of nation building, and the government also must support the media houses in this country. I will end by saying that if we want nation building, it's a collective issue. And our president, we have talked of regional elections. And if we try regional election, it doesn't move. Let's hear the voice of the people, what they want. If they want a federation, a confederation to change Cameroon to be better, or to revise the constitution, give back the floor to the people, let them decide. It is the people who decide, it is not the government that decide. And very humble and glad that Pope was here, well dressed like a diplomat, because today he was talking as a diplomat, but very diplomatic, and at the end of the day also not being a genuine intellectual. And I also want to applaud the coming of the learned politician here, the very consistent and resilient mind whom I admire, Mr. Jomosili. And I think that God should give us positive and good health. Let's be Cameroon. I think that with us in mind, God had a better plan.
And truly, if you see the convened opponent for a particular program, know that it's only when they are together that they can have positive impact. So if you mirror yourself and see your opponent, always know that you hate him definitely simply because he exposes your weakness on air. And if we talk as if we care, what will not look like insult, but for moral rectitude.
Dear viewers, this is where we get to the end of the program today, Cross Views on CMTV. We want to thank you so very much for being part of the program. We want to thank these gentlemen who are contributing to nation building. We want to thank the cameramen behind the camera. We want to thank the broadcasters for doing a very good job. I've been moderator Mwambo William. See you next time.